riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am your host, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, is co-host extraordinaire Timothy Richardson. Tim, how's it going?
Great, GPH. Good to be here.
Terrible. All right. Tim, this week, why don't you tell the folks what album we have for them?
This week we are doing Portugal The Man's newest album, Woodstock.
Now, wait a minute, Tim. Let me ask you a question. Do you love Portugal The Man?
I do.
Okay, that's what I thought. I also love Portugal The Man. And yet, the podcast name is Why I Hate This Album. Let me ask you this. Do you love Portugal The Man's Woodstock?
I do not love this album.
Would you say that you hate this album?
I do. I hate this album so goddamn much.
I, too, hate this album. Released June 16th, 2017, Portugal The Man's latest album. And up until this point, it's been downright delightful, cranking out an album per year, every one of them being even better than the one before, until they finally decided to stomp down for 4 solid years and really devote their time to a double LP with one of the Beastie Boys as the producer. Just before they released this album, they decided, you know what would be better if we just threw that away and made a garbage album inside of a week.
That's exactly what they did. And in their defense, if that was their plan, they absolutely succeeded.
Before we dig into this album, let's talk a little bit about Portugal The Man, because as you and I stated, we love this band. We have an extensive history with this band. I saw Portugal The Man here in Austin not 3 months ago, and it was 90% a great show. Guess which 10% was not so great?
I'm assuming the Woodstock portion.
It was. It was definitely the Woodstock portion. Except for one part where I thought that they were doing Day Man, but it was actually just a new song from Woodstock. Why don't you tell me, Tim? Tell the folks at home, what is your history with Portugal The Man?
I began listening to this band technically whenever American Ghetto was out, but I started with Satanic Satanist and more specifically Majestic Majesty, their acoustic version of that.
Even better.
Absolutely.
Arguably.
I found them, so you had introduced me to Builders and the Butchers and then completely abandoned that band to let me listen to, as you tend to do. And they were
got to go find new bands to not listen to.
Right. They were touring pretty extensively with Portugal The Man, so I decided to check them out. I loved Majestic Majesty, lukewarm on American Ghetto. It's not a bad album by any stretch of the imagination. Then it came to In the Mountains and the Clouds. Loved that album. Loved Evil Friends, even though that was clearly a step in the direction that this album will take, but it had a good mix of their old sound with this new sound, which kind of had a Beck quality, which worked very well for what they were doing.
Absolutely. They added some layers. There's a little bit more noise to the album. It's certainly a little poppier, a little happier, we're talking about Evil Friends here, but an excellent album. Anyway, point is, you rant and raved about them for, 6 months before I ever would listen to them.
Right, and then you promptly listened to them one random day and then emailed me and told them I should listen to this band.
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, I want to share fun new music with you.
God, I hate you.
Anyway, so yeah, I came to the band a little bit after you. Since then, how many times have you seen them live?
Probably 3, maybe 4.
3 or 4. And I know they hold a particularly meaningful, if not life-altering day for you in Paris, if you want to tell that story.
I mean, it's not really much of a story. The last time I was in Paris, the first day that I was there, I met up with one of my friends from high school. We took a thing, and then I decided to get on the train around Paris when the thing kicked in, and I was listening to In the Mountains and the Clouds, which had just come out at that time, and everyone on the train just began dancing to the music for me as I sat there loving it, honestly. It was great.
So, we've come from an awe-inspiring day on a Parisian train that you remember many years later, possibly enhanced through the aid of some sort of thing, we'll say, to where we sit today with Woodstock. Do you think they would have danced for you on that fine Parisian afternoon to Woodstock?
They very well might have, but it would have
Or they would have just murdered each other.
I mean, I don't know. I believe it would have started out sort of like background dancers in Britney Spears and then possibly moved to some sort of murder situation.
Turn to demons.
Yeah.
Talking about every dream I've ever had since I was 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you, why do you hate this specific album so much?
Excellent
Just in
question.
Very general terms.
In general terms, before we dig into the meat of it, how do you go from somebody that loves every single album they've ever released to some, to varying degrees, but I can say broadly I've loved every album they have released, to hating their most recent album? And quite frankly, Tim, it can all be summed up with, I believe, one word: Danger Mouse.
That's absolutely fair.
Not all of the blame can be placed at the feet of young Brian. Now, we have noticed a trend. And you can turn to Beck, you can turn to the Black Keys, the list goes on and on. When Mr. Mouse gets involved with an album, with a band, it is almost guaranteed that that album is going to be, well, first of all, it's going to sell millions of copies. So congratulations, you have a Grammy-winning producer at your fingertips. However, they're going to take whatever unique and beautiful thing that made you a great band, and they're just going to turn that way down. We're going to add a lot of chorus, a lot of drum machine, not a lot of thought to the lyrics, and then whatever we're lacking in quality, we'll make up for with ambient noise and robots fucking.
Yeah, I agree. I will. One caveat to that, though. It's almost never with the first album he does. So
100% true.
He produced Evil Friends for this band, and he was able to integrate the robots fucking in with the original Portugal The Man sound in a way that worked. He did the same thing with Attack and Release, the Black Keys album, and it worked really well. From then on, albums become some fast, some slow, some take multiple albums for this to happen, but it will eventually end in "this is a Danger Mouse album," and that's not good. That is not a good album.
He turns his artists into session musicians for his pop albums.
Yes.
And again, I hold nothing against the man. He's very talented, but he ruins bands I love, and he must be stopped.
So
why now, Tim? I touched on a few things here. Is there anything I didn't say as to why you hate this album? In general terms.
So, okay, in very general terms, if I had never heard this band before this album, my main problem would be I can't really identify any actual instruments on the songs. It's just weird dance pop, dubstep, synthy, drum machine nonsense, as you said, and it includes, as you love saying, excessive bleeps and blorps. It sounds like a bad version of Bruno Mars with being backed by like Fits in the Tantrums having some sort of music off against Foster the People. But again, I have heard this band before, and it's a very good band.
It's a great band.
The biggest problem I have, really, is that there were just such high expectations for this album, especially after how long the wait was. Not just my expectations, and none of those expectations included them making a ridiculous glitzy dance pop album about nothing. The best way to describe this is Portugal the Man and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh boy.
This is just John Gourley, Deliverance fucking Annie Goodwill, this very capable band had prior to this release, while we and their music just simultaneously squeal pig-like for mercy. Fuck this album. Fuck it in its stupid face. I hate it so much.
Yeah, somewhere around track 5, they do in fact climb into a refrigerator as a nuclear bomb goes off. I do agree. It is tough. And you put it very well. Had I never heard this band before, I wouldn't have even, I might have listened to, I really wouldn't have. I would have gone through it once and said, okay, great. You ready to dig into these tracks?
Yes. Instead of coming up with criticism for the individual tracks, I have constructed elaborately choreographed dances for each song. I hope that's okay. I don't know how well it will play on an audio-only podcast. We'll give it a try.
I'm going to veto this right up top. I'm going to need you to dig your notes out.
Yeah, no okay, dancing. So I will dig my notes out, and that is actually something we should probably address, because this is...
All right, truth-telling time, full disclosure. This is not the first time this podcast has been recorded. There was an incident. We recorded the entire episode, had it nice and finished, and I went to save it in our software for editing these things, and there was a traumatic moment that no one could have predicted or prevented. Without warning, despite my technological prowess, it was magically erased. No one knows why or how. Some believe it was at least a little Tim's fault.
The last time we did this, I swore at the end of that podcast that I would never again listen to this abortion. And then you lost your half of the audio. I suspect intentionally, so that we would have to redo this episode again several weeks later, and I would be forced to Portugal That Man once again. You are not a good friend. So
I'm a bad friend.
You are a bad friend. You are a bad man. You are the bad man. Before we go any further, fuck you. And
that's fair.
Okay, now we can go on to song by song.
Well, hold on. Small sticking point. We can agree that it's like a 60-40 split on fault.
Am I the 60%?
Of course.
I do not agree to this. I have my half saved. You know what?
70-30?
Is it getting more my fault?
Yes.
I will murder you.
I
song by
misunderstood
song.
your issue with it. All right. Let's dig into these tracks.
Number 1.
Entitled Number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
The first thing to point out on this is that it is, and I'm doing the quotey fingers here, featuring Richie Havens. This is not true.
What they're referencing is it opens with Richie Havens from the Woodstock performance saying, what is he singing? Freedom, I believe.
Yes.
And that was an impromptu moment from Woodstock. If you've never seen Woodstock, there's a movie based on a festival. Go watch it. It's pretty much just 3.5 hours of the best of. Richie Havens is a high point. However, it's not even him singing. It's Son Little singing Richie Havens.
Well, the very first part is whenever he's just singing Freedom and over. Yes.
For 8 seconds.
Right. And then you get oppressive synthy bass, although I will say it's a better transition from acoustic Richie Havens at Woodstock to dance music than I would have guessed that would be. Still not good, but the transition is...
Well, here's what really snuck up on me about this, and I think this is what you're alluding to. If this was the bad song on this album, or even if this was, quote-unquote, as bad as it gets, I don't know that we would be doing this album for this episode.
Absolutely not.
It is closer to that last album in that you can see the Danger Mouse influence, but you can still hear just enough of Portugal the Man kernel that it's not so offensive. Don't get me wrong.
It's offensive.
It's offensive. I'm offended. But it is the closest amalgamation of two styles that you're going to get on this album. It's like, say goodbye to what you know of as Portugal the Man. This is a fair send-off to the last bit of music that you can enjoy on this. But we'll get there.
Yeah, so as you were saying, the lyrics for most of this come from the same Freedom song. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. But again, as you were saying, sung by Son Little, who is a fairly good blues musician, completely wasted in this.
Well, yeah, he sings no blues. This whole song to me sounded like the sort of song you would use for an 80s montage.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were going to start a car wash, save a rec center, possibly learn how to be a no-nonsense businesswoman, something.
And this song is interesting because it's the one that most directly references what the album title, like what this is supposed to be about. The singer, John Gourley, the Deliverance fucker from before, the inspiration, if you can call it that, for this album was finding his father's Woodstock ticket stub from 1969, and he said, and then showing him the Richie Havens performance, and he said he loved the real and raw performance by Havens, which he wanted to bring to this album. So, did they succeed, Garrett?
I would say they failed. I think they're talking about a different album. Yeah. Because there's I've heard Portugal the Man do a rich and raw Richie Havens-like performance for an entire album. It was amazing.
Yeah. You can go right now to YouTube and any of their songs from previous albums and just type in acoustic, unplugged, stripped down, whatever, and you'll get exactly what they claimed they wanted for this album. It's not this. This is dance music.
Right. This is music for people to dance to. It is overproduced. There's no real point to it. And it's largely just driven by a drum machine. And I don't have any problem with a drum machine, but that is the instrument that you have to hold on to.
And again, that can be well used, but you have to use
Not
it...
here.
You have to use it sparingly. We can't just have constant drum machine backing everything. Doesn't work.
Yeah, it can't be the only instrument you have in the song.
Unless your band is made completely of robots.
Which I'm beginning to think this might be the case.
I don't know. I saw them.
We might be dealing with the world's first. Yeah, I've seen them. Don't
They
rule
look
out
like
the idea
they're
that they've been
aging
replaced.
very rapidly.
They could have been replaced with robots. You haven't seen them lately.
There are only 3 songs technically credited as produced by Danger Mouse. I think we can agree that's nonsense. His fingers are all over this, but this is the first of 3 songs that is quote-unquote produced by Danger Mouse.
And did you take a look at any of the other producers that they brought in?
Yeah, so Mike D, the Beastie Boys guy, produces some of it, and then it's a bunch of rap, hip-hop.
It's a bunch of rap and
producers.
pop
Yeah.
and pop producers.
Yeah.
One guy has written a number of Christina Aguilera songs. What's that guy doing in there?
I mean, are you surprised based on the sound of this?
No, that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And that brings us to track 2, Easy Tiger.
Oh, I just hated this.
Every single time I listen to this, and I know it's not the case, and I still look at my phone and go, oh, did I accidentally click Beyonce? I don't know Beyonce songs, but I assume they sound a lot like Easy Tiger.
Yeah, this is very EDM-y. I mean, yeah, dance pop kind of stuff. It's got some of the worst lyrics on this album.
Hit us with some details, because they're amazing.
They have gems like dumb coconut can't break it open.
Okay, so I did some research on this lyric in particular, and I read in multiple interviews that this particular hilarious lyric was added because one of Gorley's friends said that was the dumbest lyric he had ever heard, and so he knew he had to put it in a song.
Yes, his reaction was predictable, according to his Reddit AMA.
God damn it. I mean, it's the perfect album to put it in if you're just going to make a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. I also will note, if you would like to see a video of a guy doing karaoke to this, but just doing chicken noises instead of the lyrics, that does exist. Yeah.
I would rather do that than listen to this entire album. This was hands down my least favorite song. I just hate it.
Cannot disagree with you more. There are so many worse songs at the end of this album.
I'm not saying it's the worst. It is my least favorite. There's a difference.
I think
and
worst
I will
and least
make the
favorite
distinction.
come back later.
Nope.
Okay,
we'll
fair enough.
see.
This is your least favorites. That is fine. This song and the last song, they both also fall back on the hilarious outro trope.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do.
It's good stuff.
The outro is brutal. It just devolves into this bizarre, completely different song that is somehow worse than the previous 4.5 minutes you've been suffering through.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it has to switch suddenly to a robot humming through a microphone. Anyway, anything else for Easy Tiger?
I got nothing.
Yeah, the only other thing I wrote down was Moby's going to really enjoy sampling this in 2 years. Also, the next, that's not true. And then I wrote below that, is Moby dead? I didn't look it up. So, Mr. Moby, either way, I apologize.
Yes, Mr. Moby, if you're alive, reach out to us.
Let
We
somebody
wanna
know.
Yeah.
Let somebody know. Do you have a new album?
Oh.
Because we would love to put it on the podcast. I'm sure.
Number 3, Live in the Moment.
So, the first thing that jumps into my head with this song, so what you have to know is this is a band that is known for covering Day Man at all of their live shows, and why not? That's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a hilarious song to cover live. Every single time I hear this song, I swear to God, they just started with Day Man, and they were like, no, I'll just switch the lyrics. Everybody already likes the background music, and that's all I can hear. All I can hear is Day Man.
I wish all I could hear was Day Man. That would be nice. This, to me, sounds like straight boy band pop. It's
The closest analogous sound I could for $1 million, what I think sounds most like this, I would say Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
If you told me this was a Black Eyed Peas song for Wreck-It Ralph 2, I wouldn't even blink.
This is a song that does have old Portugal the Man kind of lyrics. They have lyrics, we don't read history when your family swing from the branches of a tree. God only knows we don't need ghost stories. I mean, it's slightly clumsy for Portugal the Man,
Sure.
but these are the sort of lyrics that you would get on the Satanic Satanist, right? Like, this
Absolutely.
is the kind of thing. Okay, so the problem is, and this is not the worst offender with this style, we'll get into more of that later, but they match these types of images with some sort of social relevance, political viewpoints with this shitty dance music, and then have later in the song these vapid, dumb lyrics that are sort of diametrically opposed to the subject matter. All I could think with this is there's a reason that no one did a dubstep version or dance remix of Bob Dylan's Hurricane or Working Class Hero. You know, and obviously I'm not trying to put the lyrics from this album on that level.
But to take a serious topic
Right,
and then try to do a sweet pop cover of it is just odd.
Yeah,
it
doesn't
it's pleasing
fit.
no master.
Yes, exactly. Now that I say that, though, I really want to hear that dance mix Hurricane. Somebody get on destroying that song right now.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
I can't imagine that it is. That's one of those things that, who would do that?
Yeah.
Portugal
it's
the
not
Man
good.
would do that. They're terrible.
So I was trying to find silver linings with a lot of this album. I just kept finding myself saying, okay, if this song, and in particular, if this song were, say, the new Madonna song, I would probably applaud her and be like, wow, you're 67 years old or whatever she is. Like, this is not bad. It seems like a modern take on your style of music from the 80s. However,
Exactly. I agree, because that would be her moving in the right direction as opposed to this.
it's so cheery and upbeat. I just felt like it was going to be on the next Cars movie. But it's a Portugal the Man song, so why in the fuck is it so ridiculous? It's terrible.
Right. I mean, I want to see that movie, and I want this song to be in it, because that's the right context for it. Also, that movie sounds amazing.
This song suffers from the exact same thing, where in the last 30 seconds it turns into a Deadmau5 song with an out-of-tune organ and some sort of woman's all synthed out singing over it.
Yeah, I'll see you when you get there, I believe, is the outro repeated over and over for this one.
Yeah, that's not appealing.
Yeah.
Just end the song. I don't mind.
Yeah, that is all I have to say about this one.
Number 4, Feel It Still.
This is the main single, obviously, that this album is sort of based around, and I can see why this is genuinely catchy. I will say, I think Pharrell Williams has a pretty good legal case for them ripping off Happy.
I'm so glad you said
Play
this.
those two back to back. It's
Also
the
love
same
that you
song.
called him Pharrell Williams.
How do you say his name?
His name is definitely Pharrell. 'Cause
Pharrell.
Who
Pharrell
would name Pharrell?
I don't know.
It's funny you say that because
Pharrell Williams, Will Ferrell, that makes sense to me. Fuck you.
they are spelled very differently. I'm glad you said this because I didn't have a ton of Pharrell experience. I'm sure that I wouldn't much care for most of it. I'm not going to say I've never heard it, but I did not have any sort of history with it. You're 100% right. There is legit a lawsuit here, which is ironic because I'm reasonably certain Pharrell got sued for Happy.
Did he?
I'm almost
That's
certain.
awesome. So, okay, we need to figure this out real quick because I need to know who they actually owe money to. Okay, so it's very similar to Marvin Gaye's version of Ain't That Particular. However, Ain't That Particular is a song that was originally written by William Smokey Robinson, who licensed it to a bunch of people. And so there's not really any way to sue for that.
So had any one person owned the music, they definitely would have been sued.
Right. So
Okay.
Portugal
They
the
owe-
Man owes someone. Apparently it's not fair.
They might owe Pharrell a check. Sorry, Farrell. They might owe Farrell a check, and at the very least, they owe Smokey Robinson, and I'm sorry.
Right.
They owe us all an apology. So Feel It Still. Here's what I love about this song, and nobody but me has probably heard this. So I was a super cool guy in high school. Don't know if you know that.
I do. You
and
tell
so
me every day.
as a super cool guy, I had the soundtrack to the Austin Powers film because that's how you get the ladies
Just
when you're
a
17.
small editorial note here. That will come up numerous times in the future.
How great I was in high school?
Well, that and the Austin Powers soundtrack.
That's true. Anyway, what most people wouldn't know, but if you've seen the film, and I hope you have, because it is good and it does hold up. I rewatched it not that long ago. The opening song. So you may recall Austin's dancing through the streets of London in 1960 whatever, but it's all whistles and bells and bleeps and blorps, and it is very, very similar to the music in this song. So much so that I believe it may technically be the same song, similar to your Pharrell situation, in which there might be a lawsuit possible here. So I implore people, please YouTube this. Watch the opening, listen to both songs. It's shockingly similar.
And another one of the weird little things with this is clearly ripped off. Would you like to take a guess at how many credited songwriters this has?
I'm going to say 5.
You are off by over a factor of 2. This song has 11 credited songwriters.
That almost makes sense to me, and here's why. One of the number one things that I kept thinking when I heard this song was they had no actual lyrics and not necessarily a concept in mind, aside from who wants to make a song that would go great in a Mazda commercial.
Exactly, yes. This song does make, and not just a Mazda commercial, this song sounds like it was made to capture the general feeling of a commercial.
Yes.
It sounds like it was written to be the commercial song, and it has been fairly frequently used in commercials, most notably, I think, some Apple product used this pretty prominently.
Yeah, I can see that. That sounds right.
Again, that's not a bad place for this song. That's where this belongs. This does not belong on a Portugal The Man album. This belongs in an Apple or Mazda commercial.
Or a Feist album. But not Portugal The Man. How often has this song been used, I wonder? I mean, you're saying it's already in commercials. I know it was in an Apple one.
They have, similar to the Billboard charts, they have a Billboard commercial chart. This was the number one song for at least the first half of 2017.
If I had any sort of cable or watched commercials, I'd be able to confirm or deny that. But I'm an adult living in 2017, so I do not even know how that works anymore.
Right. Another fun little thing for this. So, Genius Annotations lets pretty much anyone put their brilliant insights as to what the song lyrics mean.
It's an excellent idea. Have a place where people can comment on what the meaning of lyrics are. Unfortunately, it works much like Wikipedia, but seems to cater for slightly stupider people and allows just any asshole to put what they think it means.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely great. You get, because who the fuck's doing this? So you get people that are absolutely insane that are just like, oh, here's a place for me to, share my thoughts with the world. A lot of them seem to be things they've been thinking on albums that are 20 years old and that they just cannot wait to get on the internet. For this song in particular, the website restricted it to members of the band commenting.
Really?
Yeah, so we get
So these are all from, I wonder if the band can set that setting, or if for some odd reason somebody just is tired of the bullshit.
No, I think they did specifically, it was like a promo for this song, because they have a video where they go through it all, or it's just in there as annotations. We get some pretty great insights. I'm going to give you one that's, okay, so the lyric is, ooh, woo, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. If you've heard this song, you know that lyric. It's probably running through your head now and for the rest of the day.
It's the only lyric in this song.
Yes. All these, what they said about that was the first lyric that we wrote for the song. Once you've got that, you just kind of go with it.
What does that mean?
I think it means somebody said, ooh, woo, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. And they're like, oh, done.
That fits.
Yeah. We just wrote a song.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, fits.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the problem with this. And, okay, so then they assembled a team of 11 people to fill out the rest of this garbage based on that, apparently.
Song by committee is never a good song. So I will give them a small bit of credit for this song. I did, in fact, it took a little while, but I did, in fact, hear guitars. I don't know if you heard any, but they are on there. So, hey, good job. You actually did use an instrument. But other than that, that's maybe the only nice thing I can say.
They have a version of this that is the stripped down version online. And
Really?
It contains synthy, keys, drums, electric bass, 2 guitars. I don't know how they justify calling that stripped down. I mean, I guess technically it is.
Is it for this song or this album?
This song specifically.
Okay.
Technically it's stripped down because they're playing it in an old warehouse, I guess.
That can't possibly be what they mean.
No, it's not what I would mean, but it doesn't seem to be anything else. So
Ready to move on?
I am.
It excites me to move on to track 5, Rich Friends.
I actually like this song. Well,
Yeah. Well,
it's maybe a bit strong.
This is definitely my favorite.
Absolutely. This is my favorite song on the album. This is the closest thing, I think, to a classic Portugal The Man song on here. There's guitar, there's ooze.
There's so many ooze.
Yes.
It's more ooze than anything else.
And it's got a good drums that appear to be played by a human that are the bass for this song. It works to whatever level a song on this album can work.
Absolutely. I could listen to this song again. It definitely reminds me of a Black Angels song.
Yeah.
Kind of that driving rhythmic beat. But again, I'm just happy that it's played by a person.
I wrote down that this sounds like Sunday Bloody Sunday by U2, again with the heavy drum beat and more sparse music over it. And also it sounds like there's the Kanye West performance of Wolves from the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary performance. For some reason, he does most of the song laying on his back. But again, with the drums and the sparse music while it's sung spoke over it.
Yep.
Kind of has that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Well, he's a genius, Tim, so.
Yes, that is true.
And rumor has it, gay fish.
Yeah, so this song has references, or the lyrics are more in line with what you'd expect for Portugal the Man album. There's references comparing rich kids in the U.S. to apartheid upper echelon classes. That seems like Portugal the Man. And
that's more their fare.
Yeah, and this is really the only song where the music and the mood seem to in any way fit. And I mean, this song I really don't have a problem with.
Yeah, it's a legitimate song comprised of music played by real people and arranged in a manner that people could actually enjoy, aside from just mindlessly bobbing to at a festival. And with that, I don't think there's much more to say. I think we're ready to move on. Track number 6, Keep On.
This one, whenever I first heard this coming off of Real Friends, this sounded promising to me. I enjoy the opening guitar riff. It sounds sort of like an early Nirvana home demo tape for like the Nevermind In Utero era. And then it stops being that.
I agree. When I hear this song, I'm immediately brought back to Blur's Song 2. It sounds a great deal like that in the beginning. And then unfortunately, it wildly deviates from Blur, which I enjoy a great deal. And it goes back to more of the kind of standard drum machine, robot fuckery nonsense that we've come to hate. This is the beginning of a downward slide on this album that becomes insufferable and all the way to offensive by the end.
From here, it just gets worse. So this has, I think, arguably tied for the dumbest lyrics on here.
Can I guess it?
You absolutely, please do.
Okay, I want everyone to know this is not fuckery, so I could be wrong. I do not know what you're about to say. But if I had to guess, I think you would probably say, must be tripping like a cartoon, slipping on a banana.
Absolutely. Why is that in a song? Like, if that song is played in Mario Kart, sure. But again, this is an album with people who used to be serious musicians.
I read in more than one location that this is Mr. Gorley's favorite lyric of the entire album.
Yes, because it's so dumb.
Great. Just great.
Yeah.
Let me give you money for your dumbness.
So then you get these other lyrics that are vapid but sound like they're meaningful in any way. Young, black, and gifted, never lose, gotta be the shoes. That old money privilege got me confused. What is it you do? It's one of those things, it seems like that means something. It does not.
No, it is what is that? What is it called when you're, a poetry slam.
Yes.
Just because you're putting it into a certain format and you make it sound like you're saying something important does not mean you are. It just means you're kind of an asshole.
This is the only part of this that has a genius annotation. And this is one of those areas where not only do you get somebody that's either an idiot or weirdly pretentious on this, but you also get somebody that argues with them, and it's pretty hilarious. So,
good.
The genius annotation here is, in a society that perpetuates and glorifies celebrities who haven't necessarily done anything deserving of praise, these lines raise the question, why did Trump become famous? Why did Kim Kardashian become famous? They simply used the old money of their families in order to build empires based upon constant branding and self-promotion. First of all, that's not what this is. Again, this is a guy that really wants this to mean something. The response to this is simply, this is a bit of a stretch, which was written by someone with the screen name Seaman Grow Big.
Are you Seaman Grow Big, Tim?
I mean, I am, but I've never admitted to it on the internet.
It's not your screen name, but you will admit to being Seaman Grow Big.
Yes.
I mean, that is fair. You, in essence, you know what? Let's move on. Yeah, so what made me laugh about this song is it is the number one song that I skipped. It's the number one song that I got 2/3 of the way through and was just like, I get it. Thank you. But then what I started to notice in my research is I was reading various reviews of this album, and probably no less than 3, at least 2 that I can confirm, this song was called out as the most skipped song in the review. So not just you and I hate this song. Apparently, even people that like the album by and large were just like, yeah, and then there's Keep On, which you can pretty much just move on past. Then unfortunately, I can't really say that the next track, So Young, is all that much better.
It's not. This song and the one that follows it are both just hip-hop.
Yes.
The music becomes straight hip-hop karaoke with John Gourley doing the falsetto Portugal the Man sometimes, and then sometimes it's just rap.
Bad rap.
Yeah.
White guy rap.
Yeah.
And a little bit of black guy.
Yeah, there are some black guys on here that are rapping.
Yeah.
This, to me, sounds exactly like I believe it's Everlast. I believe we argued on the first time we recorded this as to whether it was Everlast or Everclear. I don't remember which one you said. I'm sure it was right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see either one. Both of them have very gravelly voices.
Yeah, it's the What It's Like song.
It's probably going to be Everlast.
Okay, so
yeah, that's Everlast.
This reminds me of the Everlast song,
House of Pain.
What It's Like.
Okay, I like that song roughly 100,000 times more than this song.
I agree completely.
Okay.
I'm not
but
saying...
It's just what popped in your head.
Well, yeah. So it's somewhat reminiscent of that. This is a poor
That's
man's
fair.
version of... This is the Ethan Hawke of that Everlast song.
Yikes. Poor man's Tom Cruise.
Yeah. He is a fan, though, so we shouldn't really...
Mr. Hawke, we appreciate you listening. I don't.
I do.
What I wrote down was...
Every click counts, man.
That's true. Thank you. Please rate, subscribe, and review. I wrote down falsetto 21 Pilots. Nobody asked for this.
No.
And I stick by that statement. It is like a falsetto 21 Pilots, and nobody has asked for this.
So, of note, this is the second official Danger Mouse produced song, and this song is also featuring Zoe Manville and
Yes.
ASAP Rocky,
A$AP Rocky,
A$AP with the $sign there. Apparently,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce people's names.
Can't read or write.
But so I'm not sure who either of those people are. They don't seem to be adding much.
Best I can tell, this song and the next one, they had people come in to say a single line of dialogue. And I say dialogue, not a lyric, because they're not singing.
So this song has two things lyrically with it. So there are lyrics that are reminiscent of old Portugal the Man. You've got the so young, loaded gun, oblivious to what the trigger does. Again, more clunky than you would have heard on their previous albums, but still in that same vein. But these are more lyrics that do not belong on your dance party album. There's no place for this here.
Just commit to what you're doing.
Yeah, right. They're not approaching the heights of nu metal here with their mixing genres. Just go fuck yourselves.
Well, let's not go crazy. Let's not even say. Let's not even bring that into
this. That's fair. But I'm just saying, this is not mixing these two things is not appropriate. No, it's not good.
No, these lyrics are aftershocks of a band that used to have a strong and mighty roar with every song, and instead now they're just little shadows of the lyrics that they used to have in their meaningful albums. You can't shake all of your talent at once.
You have been reading too many Robert Christgau reviews, you son of a bitch. Yeah, and so the other thing with this, because with those lyrics, there are also these weird mixed metaphor / cliche kind of lyrics. You've got Midas touch, golden gloves comparison. You know, somebody here was just like, okay, so we got Midas touch, golden gloves. Okay, so both of those are gold related things. There's a lyric. We got it. Just stop trying to write Metallica lyrics. That should not be a goal for anyone.
I figured this out. So what they're doing is they're just taking advantage of predictive text. They're going to their homepage on Google, they put in one word, and then they just look at what all the results are for the next following 2 to 3 words, and they're like, oh, okay, golden gloves. There we go.
Instead of doing this podcast, we should do your thing.
No, that doesn't end well.
It ends very well. This album did pretty well.
That's true, but you shouldn't just aimlessly wander the internet. You will waste both time and ruin your libido. Trust me. Anyway, let's move on. Track 8, Mr. Lonely, featuring none other than Fat Lip.
Yeah. And again, this is the last officially Danger Mouse produced song.
First off the bat, first thing I wrote down, poor man's Jay-Z. It is, just as you've said, it is once again hip-hop karaoke. It is people that are untalented at this style of music attempting to ape other people that are quite good at it. To shitty avail.
And again, Fat Lip, I know nothing about him. I'm basing this 100% on the fact that he's named Fat Lip. So I'm assuming he's doing the Who's a Big Baby voice over all of this because, you know.
No, okay, you can't keep saying that because no one knows what you're talking about.
Google Who's a Big Baby, White
No,
Stripes.
I'll just describe it as the slowed down, deep voice that resonates through the entire track and distracts you from any ability to possibly enjoy the other shitty noises coming through.
Right.
Don't
Lip.
Google Who's a Big Baby.
I mean, you should. You should. If you like
It's just-
hating music, there you go.
If you like the White Stripes and you're looking for a reason to stop listening to them, Google that song.
Fair
It's
enough.
just shit.
This song has, again, I keep saying this song has the worst lyrics on here. I've said that
Yeah.
at least twice before. This song has the worst lyrics on this album. If I may read a few here.
Please.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame for vomiting. I puked around the world. Now I'm the Duke of Earl. Compare that to... People Say, Modern Jesus, And I, Colors, Church Mouth, any of their songs from
Where
any
They
of their
Tried?
previous albums. Yes, anything. This really undercuts any attempt for this album to be anything meaningful.
This song to me feels like a not even able to make the main soundtrack, but if a deluxe edition of the Suicide Squad soundtrack gets created, this song's making the cut. Didn't make the top 16, that's okay. There's a lot of big budget songs on there. They got the Stones and such. But if they make a deluxe edition, this is track 22 all over the place. It's fucking shit, man.
Yeah, I think this might be my least favorite song on this terrible
It's the
album.
only song that I wrote in all caps in my notes. This is just terrible.
It is.
Which is not a helpful note for a future me. I can't I can't do anything with that.
Yeah, but future you, or past you, is an asshole.
Yeah, that guy's a dick.
Yeah, that guy parks at the airport with no gas in his tank.
The only other thing I can say about that's true. The only other thing I can say about this song is it would be an excellent backing track to a Gorillaz song. So strip out the vocals, hand it over to that crazy son of a bitch, and let him try to do something with it because what Portugal the Man's trying to do is just pointless. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, track number 9.
Tidal Wave, the Mary J. Blige song on this album. I mean, yeah, this is another contender for the worst song on this album. I don't hate it nearly as much as Mr. Lonely, but again, this is just hip-hop. I don't know why.
I put this was the worst song.
Yeah.
It sounds so much to me in the first 45 seconds of... If you told me this was an unreleased, unproduced Michael Jackson song, I wouldn't have even questioned it. I'm pretty sure I heard... You're probably not familiar with this instrument. It's called a saxoboom.
No, I'm not.
I think technically it's a child's toy. It looks like a saxophone, but with buttons on it. So as you blow through it, you actually change the tone. I think they may have used a saxoboom.
I'm
on there.
90% sure what you're describing is a saxophone. Are you talking about a saxophone buttons where you blow through it and when you push the buttons you change the tone?
I recognize that does in fact sound like I'm describing a saxophone. Just Google it.
Okay.
Okay? It's a saxoboom.
Saxaboom, Who's a Big Baby? Google it. Done.
I feel like you just keep trying to wrap that Who's a Big Baby, and again, folks, you don't want it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
So Tidal Wave, this to me, so it's got this sort of rap with piano over it.
Yes.
This sounds like Just a Friend by Biz Markie. You got what I need.
Yes.
That's what this sounds like. I mean, again, every song that I compare songs from this album to, it's a much, much worse version of that.
Right.
But it does, in some way, remind me of it. The best song, because it's the last song, Noise Pollution. The drum machines have taken over.
Yes.
They are in control now.
This
Portugal
song
the
to
Man
me-
is working for them.
It sounds like Kanye West on heavy medication made a song with Blondie. And keep in mind, Blondie's like 72. So that's not a thing you want.
Could be like their Johnny Cash, the later years.
Nope.
Oh, nope.
Nope, it's just going to sound like a 73-year-old woman, potentially with throat nodules, singing along to some dude rapping. I don't know what this is, man. I've listened to this album no less than 12 times.
Oh, yeah.
And
You did this to us, though.
absolutely. Again, 70-30, 75-25 even.
God,
I'm
you're
willing
the
to go
bad
there
man.
if that... I'm willing to come to that number if that's what you prefer.
Such a cunt.
What else can be said about this? Oh,
It features
The
John
lyrics.
McClane's daughter. We can mention that, Mary Elizabeth
is that
Winstead.
who Mary? Okay,
Yeah.
John McClane's daughter.
Also prominently in Cloverfield. She was the non-John Goodman, non-other male character.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, what did I say?
Cloverfield.
Oh, yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane. There you go.
Gotcha. Okay, I know who that is. Doesn't really change how I feel about this song. Tell me you have some notes on these lyrics.
I do.
Without going into a rage blackout.
This is the absolute worst offender on this album for we're going to mix serious concepts with dumb bullshit, then it's a dance album. The whole thing, it just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, they dare to invoke the incident in Paris where those folks at the magazine were gunned down in their own office, and the whole world joined united by saying "Je suis Charlie."
Yes, the Charlie Hebdo.
Yes, exactly. And they have decided that that's appropriate. And I'm not the most easily offended guy. Some would say that I lack the ability to be offended. But I have become keenly aware at recognizing what is offensive. And this song, with those lyrics, fit the bill.
Yeah, with my fist in the air, Je suis Charlie, can't you see I'm feeling magnifique? So,
Vive la France. It's just terrible. Yeah. I like a catchy upbeat and a rhythmic drum machine as I sing about terrorist acts in a flippant manner. Who doesn't love that?
So, you could make the argument, it's not true, but you could make the argument that this could work if the entire point of this album was everyone is currently too vapid to understand the serious issues going on around us. But if I can bring you back to the Duke of Earl, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame for vomiting after puking around the world, I don't think that's what they're doing here.
I think we've come to that point in the episode where I have to ask that question. Is this album a goof? No, is it a larger critique on the materialism and the absurdity of our focus on mundane, silly, day-to-day things? Is it supposed to stand in stark contrast to the serious nature of the lyrics and what they reference to the dancey and hip-hop modern style of the album? Is that what's going on, Tim? Maybe I missed it.
I would argue no, because I think that might be what their last 4 albums were about.
It's none of those things.
God damn it.
It's just a bad album. Anything else you want to say about that last song?
More
aptly named Noise Pollution.
So this was the first song that they released as a single for this. They released this in, December 1st, 2016. So they released this a good 6 months before this album came out. And as they were releasing it, their statement was not to be dramatic and shit, but there's a flood of noise right now and it feels like it might drown us all, and it's harder and harder to tell what's fact, what's opinion, and what's straight up bullshit.
Here's a terrible song to help.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like they're just adding to the fray.
And again, with your question of is this something deeper, the band's interviews that you have referenced, their favorite lyrics on this album,
are the stupidest.
Right. The explanation for how they wrote Feel It Still. This all goes against the fact that there is anything here. It's what you've been saying, or what you said about some other album with it's the South Park effect, where they've got a bunch of manatees or the Google word associations. They're pulling a bunch of concepts together, throwing it together, not giving a shit what any of it means in context with each other, because hey, you're dancing, so who gives a shit?
So we'll be seeing Portugal the Man here soon at ACL. Yeah. I expect that there's going to be far more hopping about sorority girls in the front row of that show than you and I are used to seeing at a Portugal the Man concert.
Yeah, it's going to be real irritating.
On the plus side, after they play Feel It Still, it should cut the crowd size in half.
Yeah. Okay, we've talked a little bit about the naming of this album, Woodstock. I want to hear your thoughts about naming it after such an iconic moment in history.
Okay, so I honestly, aside from the opening track where there's the briefest of, you can hear Richie Havens saying freedom. Aside from that, I saw absolutely nothing that harkened back to the name of Woodstock. And then I realized I was thinking about it completely wrong, Tim. You and I are thinking of the wrong Woodstock. We got the Woodstock all wrong. It's right there on the cover. There's a car on fire. And of course, do you know which Woodstock I'm referring to?
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about Woodstock 99, the Limp Bizkit Woodstock.
Exactly.
Slash the fire, brimstone, and riot Woodstock.
Yes, the $18 bottled water Woodstock, the I'm sorry we're out of food Woodstock, the porta potties are full Woodstock,
Technically,
the
those
porta
last two
potties
things
are
happened.
tipped over Woodstock, the porta potties are gone Woodstock, the porta potties have been set on fire Woodstock. So, through the context of that lens, aptly named. And honestly, well-made album. This embodies the frustration, sadness, disappointment, and overall dismay at humanity generated by the Limp Bizkit Woodstock.
Okay, so I guess we have found a through line that this album may actually make some sense.
Yeah, it was just a huge misunderstanding.
Yeah.
What they didn't realize was that the average person is going to think of the classic Woodstock.
Woodstock 1.0.
Whereas we're really dealing with more of a 90s Woodstock in this situation. One of commercialism and material gains through very little effort. And
Fire. Don't forget about the fire.
The fire might be the most important part. So, did you see any sales numbers on this? I saw that it sold a shit ton. I know that. Whatever that means. People are listening to the single.
Right. So the single hit number one in a couple of different Billboard charts. It didn't hit number one. It was like the number one in like the alternative chart kind of thing. It did not hit the number one in the Billboard Top 100 songs overall. The album itself. So obviously this album was made to sell. Like this isn't, again, as we've said, this isn't their personal statement about anything. This is an album they meant to sell people. They wanted this to be popular. So it peaked on the Billboard 200 list at number 32, which isn't bad. It's obviously not what they wanted, but it's not bad.
I traced that 32, and I just kind of watched it for a little bit. So the next week it goes from 32 to 103 to 125, and then it just kind of bounces around week to week. Currently, it has climbed all the way back to 37. So that's pretty impressive.
Seems to be having a long shelf life. But for comparison, so this is their third album on a major label. This is on Atlantic Records.
Atlantic, yeah.
Their first two, or the two previous albums that came out on Atlantic, In the Mountain and the Clouds, that peaked at number 42. Great album.
Sure.
Evil Friends, that one peaked actually at 28. It didn't stay on the charts for as long, but it did definitely peak higher than this album, which has got to be irritating for them. And, the interesting thing is, they do have some sort of self-awareness.
Okay.
Their parts of the atmosphere surrounding this album do seem like sort of a meta joke. For example...
Yeah, like they're kind of fucking around.
Yeah, so they sold t-shirts that said, I liked Portugal the Man before they sold out.
I tried to buy that t-shirt.
Did you?
Yeah, they were out of my size.
Yeah. Band t-shirts don't really run in sizes that fit normal people. So
True.
You gotta have a 6-foot-long torso, but also like a 26-inch waist or something.
Yeah.
They also released a smash cut on YouTube that was just negative reviews. Which, again, these are things that people do whenever they understand what they've done. I don't buy it.
I still don't think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
I think it was a total accident. I read several reviews. I'm sad to say most of them were actually pretty positive. However, they were all couched within the lens of Portugal the Man is going mainstream. They've finally made it. And I would say to me, that's probably not necessarily what they were going for as a band. And if it was, I mean, there's no faster way to do it. This album fits the bill. But every single review I read referenced the fact that this was a mainstream pop album where they had eschewed some of the stranger aspects of the band in an effort to become more commercially viable. And not necessarily through conscious means, but that's definitely what the album shows.
So this seemed very long, right?
Yes.
This album is 38 and a half minutes long. It's not their shortest album. This album is under 40 minutes.
No, it isn't.
It
Don't
is.
lie.
It is. It absolutely
I would have
is.
said just a hair under an hour. Are you kidding?
No.
Okay, everything I just said, we may have to do this a third time.
No, I swear to God, I will murder you with acid. 38 minutes, 35 seconds is how long this album is.
We have complained almost twice as long as the album exists.
Yeah, that's about right.
Jesus Christ.
American Ghetto and Satanic Satanist are shorter, but that was in a time period when they were releasing an album a year. They were doing sort of a, what's his face, Ty Segall.
Ty Segall, yeah.
Segall? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Either way. Yeah, understandable then. Okay, so...
But again, 4 years to come up with 38.5 minutes. Good stuff.
Pure baby shit. We've come to the end of the episode where we like to ask, who is this album for? Do you have an answer to that question?
I think you hit it best whenever you said, 19-year-old sorority girls at ACL. Or, I mean, I think actually better would be the Coachella crowd. But yeah, so it's people that don't like Portugal the Man is who this album is for.
I think my sister would enjoy it a great deal. She likes to dance, and she's a woman. So yeah, I think it's for ladies that like to dance and don't want to listen to the actual words being said.
Yeah.
Or men, you know what? I don't want to be sexist here. Ladies or men. Some men just got to dance, Tim. So yeah, if you want to dance and listen to Portugal the Man, but not listen closely, have at it. So that's who this is for. If you haven't listened to Portugal the Man, or maybe this is the only Portugal the Man you've listened to, and if that's the case, I am so sorry that you started here. Where would you recommend people start?
So there's 3 albums that are accessible and very good because their early stuff is genuinely weird, and you can look at the name of the band. Their hatred for grammar carries into their early music, and it's it's bizarre. It's good, it's bizarre, and it's not necessarily accessible to
it's not necessarily for everyone.
That's fair. In the Mountain in the Clouds is a very good album that most people could like. I think Evil Friends is pretty much on the same level. And then their other albums before that, Majestic Majesty is where I would personally start. It is the acoustic version of The Satanic Satanist. They do the whole album minus one song, and it's very good. It's a good band. It's a good band. You can tell that they're writing good songs. It's a couple of guys sitting around singing harmonies with a single acoustic guitar and like a tambourine. If it's not a good song, that's not going to come off well.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So
yeah, I would say good suggestions. Don't necessarily disagree with anything you just said. Depending upon the person, I think your slightly safer bet is Evil Friends for a place to start. Mm-hmm. But Majestic Majesty, if it were you and you'd never heard Portugal the Man, I wouldn't give you Evil Friends first. I'd give you that one. And I say that only as somebody whom I know thoroughly enjoys a stripped down acoustic guitar situation.
Sure.
Other than that, not everyone likes that. There are actually, believe it or not, a number of people that you can put an acoustic Dylan album on and they will cover their ears and leave the room. They just do not enjoy listening to that. They want the bleeps, the blorps, the robot fucks, all of it. And more power to them. In putting a properly arranged album, looking at you, Beck, it's great.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. In a not so properly arranged album, it's hackneyed, it's empty, it leaves you feeling shallow and disappointed and questioning your musical choices. For instance.
Do you want to do like worst part, best part of this?
Any thoughts? I don't know what else I can say.
Fair enough. Best part of this for me, I will say, it's a tie between the fact that I never have to listen to this again, assuming you don't delete your half of the recording and fuck me in the face.
Or if something happens on your side, like last time.
Yeah. So a tie between that and the fact that you had to listen to it so many times. This is truly just the Dan Brown of music. This is a pretty terrible album from a band that is certainly capable of greatness. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. It would have been far better if they completely jettisoned all remaining remnants of old Portugal the Man and just made a dance album. It would be less insulting, I think, that way.
Yeah, just really commit themselves to it.
And I mean, it suffers from just how hard they seem to want to be popular. It's like the people you'll see in shitty tabloids at the grocery store who have plastic surgery to look like a celebrity or Barbie or some dumb bullshit. Tiger, maybe. That's a thing.
They never are trying to look like a tiger.
I believe there was one. And anyway, she had a snout, is what I'm saying.
She definitely had a snout, but she wasn't thrilled about it.
Okay, well, no. So that's the point. Not only do they
this album lacks identity.
Right. Whenever you do that, whenever you try to force that, not only do you come away not looking like that celebrity, you end up not even looking like a real human being anymore. And that's sort of what they've done here.
If I'm understanding you correctly, and I'm pretty sure I am, you're saying this album looks like a cat.
Yes. Well, a large jungle cat.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to misconstrue. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. This thing's catted out to shit. It's it's just It's just not good, man. You can tell what they were trying to do, and I respect them trying to do something different. I wish we had started with this by saying, I am not opposed. I'm not looking for them to do the exact same thing over and over. I appreciate that a band must evolve and create new sounds, but you're not innovating. You said it perfectly when you called it karaoke. This is Portugal the Man does... I don't know. At times it feels like a Justin Bieber song. There's notes of fun in there. The most poorly named band ever. No one's ever had that while listening to that. And on a whole, I can say comfortably and confidently, I hate this album.
Yes.
Tim?
I hate this album too. I think instead of listening to this, go ahead and Google Who's a Big Baby. You'll have a better time.
Questionable at best, but I do agree. Don't listen to this album. If you have already listened to it for the purposes of making fun of it, that's the only reason, maybe.
I mean, again, if you're a 19-year-old girl and you love this album, more power to you.
Absolutely.
But
if you're a 48-year-old man and you love this album, I don't care either. That's great.
Yes.
It's just not Portugal the Man, and it's not for me.
Agreed.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Well, then this has been Why I Hate This Album, Portugal the Man, Woodstock. That's it for the episode. Join us next week. I'm Garrett Harvey.
Tim Richardson.
Riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.